Hi, welcome to Jade Kind Gaming. My name is Adam, here with an unboxing, unwrapping look at the Pathfinder flip mat for a bigger tavern. Now, I already have the CD Tavern normal Pathfinder flip mat, and that has like 3 different taverns. There's one side that's sort of a big like tavern in the middle of the middle of a city, and then it has a tavern that's like outside of like a seedy part of town, like that like is connected to the sewers, and then it has like a tavern inn sort of structure that is like on a dock. This one, at least per the images on the back, is one tavern, roofs up and without, that's sort of out in an open area, whether this is a roadside tavern or just has a bit of an open area within a larger city where it just has some land around it. It could be either way. But it's sort of a tavern inn with stables and blacksmith. And so, it's sort of a... the tavern itself doesn't necessarily look larger than the other, but it's got like sort of its own little environment. And so I figure we'll take a look at it, see the way they did the different sides, and see if we can come up with some ideas for how to use it as well. Of course, I think I scored it. There we go. Start by trying to get the plastic off. Ah! I win! So, obviously, the bigger flip mat, larger size, and these are the same if you're unfamiliar with the flip mats that Paizo does. Wet erase, dry erase, heck, even permanent marker if you want to go to the hassle of using, I think it's like dry erase or something to remove it. But these ones are larger than normal. And I guess let's start actually up on this camera and just show here, it's hard to get it all in, it's so big. One side is the tavern with the roofs on all of the building. It has a big courtyard in the middle, but, very useful side, especially for a tavern that seems like it's a publicly accessible building. But maybe this tavern is like a guild tavern, and you have to be a member to get in, and you have to sneak into the guild or something. Otherwise, it's always kind of weird just wasting a side of the map for having roofs. Could have done 2 different designs, but oh well. And then the other side has the tavern itself, which is actually probably smaller than a couple of the taverns on the CD Tavern map. However, there's also, the actual cooking area for the tavern, a big courtyard in the middle. There's a whole section that's an inn, that definitely makes it bigger. And this tavern also has a big barn for stabling animals, and even its own blacksmith. So it's a whole little tavern environment, I suppose. But let's take a look a little bit more at some of the details, I guess. And I guess we want to start on this side, because this is pretty much like the idea of an entrance. And you have, whatever, the road clearly comes up here. You got sort of the texture, road coming in here. And there's our little gate. And we have a little house building here, some fencing, and a well inside of the courtyard. We have a sort of like a thatched roof over what will end up being the barn, and then of course we have other buildings with roofs. Like there's no chimneys on this building, but this one has some massive chimneys. That's the blacksmith. Chimneys here in the kitchen, and then you can sort of see like the courtyard. There's a road that leads up into here, and you can see the main entrance is here. Some chimneys in this main part. There's a bit of a garden here. It's nice. Chimney here, but then otherwise the majority of the inn section also doesn't have that. And I mean, to some extent, you can kind of see different areas where different roofs meet in different sections. But otherwise, this side is, well, you know, you can come up with a use for it. You can use it if you have to infiltrate, you know, the building and you don't know the internal layout or something. But if you're just coming up to a normal inn, well, then you're just going to kind of arrive at the road and, you know, nothing's really all that secret here. So going back to the beginning and circling our way around again, you know, you enter here through the gate, and this little building on the side is just a little house, sort of a guardhouse, that kind of thing, which does suggest if you use it as like a guild hall, you know, like for a big, you know, place where all the guild members can live and they have a gathering spot and a stabling spot. I mean, like, they call it a bigger tavern, but this could be a great guild hall. I mean, they even have an area to, you know, work on, you know, the armaments that the guild needs, like in the forge. So, I mean, you could definitely use that, and this is like a security gate for it. Whereas if it's a normal inn, this is probably just open and you can get in. But, then we do have, of course, our stables here, with a couple of entrances in here, and a bunch of different, you know, stalls for horses and whatever to be kept in. And there's just little detailings in here, little columns that are supporting the roof, as it is a large open structure. Hey, and we got saddles and horseshoes and carts and, you know, boxes and, you know, barrels and sacks and just whatever. Details to fill the space. Then a separate little room here. This could be, if this is just a normal inn, of course, this feels almost like maybe this is the family that runs it. You know, they have, like, as in the back of the stables is literally also the house for the people that run it, and there's a little bedroom with a few beds. Of course, it could be a fancier room to rent out, or could just be the stable keeper. The people that are working here is really what it feels like. It does look like, you know, maybe that's just, you know, a dirty section of floor. Maybe that's a splattering of blood, and this room is suggesting something terrible happened with these stains on the floor. Because definitely looks like could just be a splattering of blood in there. So maybe this is the murder site. But otherwise, it's a little room right off the stables with basically a table of its own and a small bedroom that has 3 single beds in it. Next door, we do have our blacksmith. You know, with our, you know, of course, fire pit in the middle, but also, you know, forge here with the bellows and anvil, and, you know, they're showing, of course, we're going to make, you know, horseshoes if we have a stable next door, but of course, you know, they can make whatever would be needed here, depending on the type of environment this is. If it is just a, you know, a normal inn, it's of course probably going to do mostly horseshoes for travelers, because this feels like, if it's a tavern, if it's an inn, it feels like it's a roadside inn. Like not necessarily part of a larger city, but like you're traveling a long distance and there's this almost like community, you know, that is set up that is for people just on a well-traveled road. And, you know, horseshoes and things like that, and some basic repairs of things you already have, obviously are the main thing that's going to be done here. Now, if this is actually the guild hall to a fighter's guild, this blacksmith is great because it allows you to have weapons and armor made and, you know, repaired and such here right in the guild. So there's there's always different things for different real purposes for it, depending on what you use the building as. But again, going onward, we have, of course, the door here into the main part of the tavern, but there's also a little side door here. This look is supposed to be windows, so these are windows. Yeah, so you can kind of enter off onto the side directly into a storage room here, regardless of whether this is guild hall or tavern or what. This is mostly food storage. You know, you've gotten your shipment of food in, and whatever you need to prepare things, you store it here. There's the kitchen, where you cook and prepare, and it's just, that's what this whole little section right here is food preparation and, all of that. So that's sort of the work area, and you can kind of see it can go straight out into the tavern itself. So if a server is bringing out your meal, or there's also a door that heads off to the bar. So the bar itself is fairly small, and right off the side here, and then a large. There we go. Large section of the room is just, open tables and chairs. And admittedly, a lot of them are, like spaced out. Like there's a lot of space in between the different environments. And you have some support columns. The reason those are important is you can knock those down in a combat and say, oh no, you've done, and then have like the roof fall in the middle of a fight if they knock down the support for the roof. So, but yeah, there's plenty of room between chairs and tables and such to have a fight going on. I do notice here the detailing. They have like almost like this back row is stone where the fireplaces are, but then the rest of the room is wood, and the other rooms that have fire in them all have that kind of detail. But yeah, so handful of tables, not even a huge number considering this is a bigger tavern. But yeah, workable number. More windows, looking out over the garden, and another little area here that's sort of between the inn and the tavern itself. That's there's a bit of a personal feel. There's a bookshelf. There's a little room. Maybe it's a private room. The party rents out the private room for their, to have their discussion, or maybe it's just sort of a little seating area for people in there, and they don't you're not serving drinks in there, but it's just sort of like a relaxing area since. But yeah, essentially a little private room that kind of between the two areas connecting the tavern and the inn. Of course, the inn can be reached from outside as well. Little sort of dirt plot where, garden could be. And then sort of on this side of the inn section of the tavern is like a communal room. One entrance, just some shelves where you can set your stuff, and a big row of beds. So you can just rent a bed in a room that's shared with a bunch of people. So not quite the level of privacy one might want, but could definitely, go for a budget. And we have a number of rooms that have 2 beds. So you have 2 bedrooms. So maybe the party rents out a room, and you can actually rent out a room that has enough bedding for the whole party to stay in one room. They just rent a larger room. Or, of course, you get your typical, I don't know about your typical, but my typical, room, small room, basic bed, table, little box or table or something to store something in. It's got a rug. That's it. You notice here, this side has windows that look into the courtyard. This side that looks outward does not. So again, a bit defensible, particularly with the idea or the mindset of, is this a guild hall? The fact that you don't have exterior windows makes it a little more of a defensible structure. So it's definitely a thought there. Moving it back around to this side, of course, we had where we enter, the main entrance into the hallway for the inn. And of course, it enters here. You can tell there's like some pictures on the wall and a nice wide hall here. And then there's a separate door that leads to the big hall with all the rooms off of it. Now up here we have a nice, a bit nicer room than most. and then a bit nicer double room. Just feel a little more spacious, or maybe it's just the fancy rugs. And then here we actually have this, like you could tell from the roofs, this was a separate add-on, but sort of enters into a little living area with 2 rooms off of it. So it almost feels like this itself, again, could be the room for people that are living and working here at this facility, or it could just be someone, this is the Guildmaster's, suite, where Guildmaster and his wife live with their child, having a separate room. So that just sort of has that feel to it, and it has just a little living room off of this room, or it could just be a more expensive suite that, a player could, come to this roadside inn and, rent the nicest room in a place, and it's sort of a little suite, like, modern hotels, you can get hotel rooms that basically have a couple bedrooms and a living room. It's basically that idea. So, could be used a couple different ways, but yeah. It's, definitely a bigger flip mat, but I would not say quite so big of a tavern. I just, I look at it, I'm like, this tavern is definitely bigger than the tavern section. Now, this tavern has no inn, this tavern has no stables, and the map is definitely smaller. If I put it up corner to corner, you can kind of see the difference in how much bigger this flip mat is than the normal size ones. But yeah, it's got a also very different feel. Whereas these ones feel like they're part of a city, this one feels like it's along the road somewhere. It's a little more self-sufficient. Yeah, just kind of has that feel to it. But again, I got it because I thought I could definitely come up with a nice use for it. Could be a tavern, could be a guild hall. I just get that guild hall kind of feel for it. And having the side with the roofs, if it is a tavern, not very useful, but maybe it's a guild hall that the party isn't a member of, and they have to infiltrate. And that's always the idea I get when I get the flip mats that have the roof sections. Of course, if you have ideas of your own for different ways to utilize the map, please feel free to comment below. I can always use suggestions and new ideas for the ways to use things I have, and of course, if there are new ideas down there, you can always look and see. Maybe you'll get something inspired by something there as well. Of course, like and subscribe and all that YouTube stuff, and thank you for watching. I'll link down below where you can pick this up if you want to purchase it yourself. Of course, you can always check out your friendly local gaming store. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. Bye.
Thank you.